This is the plaintiff, Elizabeth Sanchez. She says her dog, Coco, was outside in her yard, tied up to her chain when the defendant's vicious pit bulls came onto her property and savagely attacked her. The two pit bulls grabbed onto Coco's neck and started chomping. There was blood everywhere. Turns out these pit bulls have escaped before. They're a menace to society. And for some reason, the defendant won't pay her in full for the vet bills. She's suing for $1,266.27, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Timothy Reardon. He says his dog somehow got out and approached the plaintiff's dog because there was food and water nearby, and they started fighting over it. He paid the vet bill in full, and now the plaintiff's coming after him for a broken screen door and anything else she can think of to stick it to him. Well, he's sorry his dogs got out, but he did the right thing, paid the vet bills, and that's all he's willing to do. He's accused of losing control of his dogs.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome.
Elizabeth Sanchez, you are suing Timothy Reardon, your neighbors?
Same neighborhood.
You can say
Same
that,
neighborhood?
yeah.
Okay. For $1,266.27 in vet bill, front door damage, and pain and suffering stemming from an attack by his two pit bulls that got loose on your pit bull.
Correct.
This may be first pit bull on
I
pit
think
bull.
it is. I don't think we can.
First pit bull on pit bull for me.
Interesting.
It's a long time I've been doing it. First pit bull on pit bull.
Yes.
Okay, fair fight. Let's hear it.
All right. Okay, so on September 23rd, I had my dog tied up in the front, short chain, front of my
Do you
lawn.
have a fenced-in front?
I don't have a fence in front. I was doing my usual, getting ready for work. My boys were getting ready for school. Out of nowhere, then I heard some rustling
Does
going
she
on.
sleep out there, or did you?
No, she does. She sleeps in the house.
So you had just put her?
I just put her out so she can do her thing in the morning before we go to work.
Okay.
And school. So she went to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And I usually leave her
I know
there.
what her thing is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to say it. But we usually leave her there for maybe 10 minutes so she can stretch out her legs, get some air before bringing her back in. So within that 10 minutes of time frame that I normally leave her out there, I heard some rustling going on. No barking, but just something. I heard it. My son heard it. We both ran out at the same time. And that's when we found two dogs latched onto my dog.
Latched on how?
I believe that the female is the brown dog. She was latched onto my dog's neck, and the other one was just gnawing at her body.
So what'd you do?
I panicked. I screamed. A lot of neighbors heard it, and the first thing I did was I ran back into my house. I grabbed my pool sticks from downstairs in the basement, and between me and my older son, we tried.
How old are your sons?
9 and 15.
Okay.
So me and my older son tried to break them apart with the sticks, but they wouldn't budge.
Oh my goodness.
So we were basically just watching our dog die before our eyes.
Never easy.
It's not.
That's not what ended up happening, though, right? A neighbor got involved, and what happened?
My neighbor, thank God for him, Mr. Carlson, he lives 2 houses to the left of my house. He saw from his second floor window what was going on. He loves my dog like it's his own dog. And he came out with all his strength, grabbed his female pit off of my dog by her collar. So as he tried pulling her off my dog's neck was still latched into the dog's mouth. So basically ripping, kind of doing more damage, but finally his dog let go and he held her. The other dog, the male dog, kind of like just stood there watching because I was kind of like scaring the male dog away.
All right, so he pulls the dog off that's got the neck chomp, and then the other dog does not lunge. Does he end up getting hurt?
He did. The dog, as I was unlatching my dog from my chain, her chain, I got her in the house, and at that time, the other dog bit him in his hand.
The boy dog?
The female.
The female bit him where?
Bit him in the hand, and he let go. And at the time that him letting go, both dogs saw that my dog was getting in the house, and they charged towards my door and basically kind of ripped through my screen door.
Oh my goodness! So you got to close the door before they could come into your house.
Correct.
And they ripped through your screen door trying to get at your dog.
Correct.
All right. Now, how did your dogs get out?
I don't know. I have a 15-foot kennel out back, and I keep them. They live indoors, but when it's nice out, I'll go to work. I will put them outside. My daughter lets them in when she gets home from school at 2:00. So I had them locked in the kennel. I left for work. I work 6 to 2:30, so I was already at work.
Well, they're not magicians. How did they get out? When you came home, you didn't see that you didn't lock it?
They must have climbed the kennel fence. There is no top on the kennel. It's just a top.
Oh, that's not a kennel? All right, so wait a second. That's totally different.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So are pit bulls more aggressive than the average dog, or do they have a bad rap?
They have a bad rap.
Why?
It's the people who train them that make them bad dogs. It's not the dogs themselves.
So I guess, I hear that a lot. There are so many bad pit bull trainers out there? Because we have more pit bull cases than any other case.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of the trainers kind of stink and they don't really know how to train their pit bulls, because I've actually met some really nice pit bulls.
You guys agree with that? Pit bulls?
I agree, definitely.
Huh?
I think it's just the perception of the dog itself. I mean, and who makes the dog a certain way. They're not
Inherently bad.
right.
Got your point? Going inside the courtroom.
You need to figure out a way to keep your pit bulls at your house.
Yes.
Because
Yes, I
the
do.
rest of the community does not want to see them. But clearly, this would be your
Oh,
responsibility.
well, 100%.
Okay, so now you go to the vet. You actually, a neighbor of yours took the dog to the vet. The same neighbor?
His sister.
His sister.
She is Coco's godmother.
Godmother. The
Yes.
dog's a dog. What do you mean? The dog is a godmother? Would
They
you have to do a
love
christening?
my
What,
neighbor.
you just mean that in the...
We didn't try that, but maybe we did.
Okay. So the sister of
They're
Superman
brothers.
takes the dog to the vet.
The vet, yes.
And he pays a $300 payment at the beginning, right?
I paid up front because my dog needed to be released from the hospital, the
Right.
animal hospital. So I had to pay.
And then you brought it to him.
I brought it to him. And
Had you met him before this or no?
No.
All right.
We didn't
And
know
then
each
he
other.
was very nice then.
Oh,
right?
yes.
He hands you the $300 bill.
He sure did.
Okay. And that vet bill of that day was how much? 300?
No, the vet bill was 900 and a little under
998.
1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does he promise you that he's going to pay the rest of it?
Yes.
All right. And then what happens?
He told me that he would be able to make another payment that following Friday. So when I called that following Friday to make sure a payment was made, I found out a $25 payment was made. So
Okay.
I kind of figured, well, I can't, go on with a $25 payment a month on a $1,000 bill. That's just not going to happen because I don't want to get stuck along the line and then I'm caught with a large bill.
Right.
So I told him that I'm going to have to just put this on paper and take it to small claims. And he was very understanding of it.
Okay. How do you figure that making a $25
I
payment?
actually paid $25 a week.
Okay. How many $25 payments had you made?
I have made 5. I made 5.
Okay. Did you ever talk to
before it
the
was
vet?
filed.
And
I did. They wouldn't legally take it out of her name
Right.
because it's her. But I did work out a payment arrangement with the Middleborough
Did you ever
Animal
talk to the
Hospital.
vet and they tell you, don't worry, it's fine, we'll just accept payments? Did you ever talk to the vet?
No, they kind of knew what was going on. They
No,
knew-
but that wasn't my question. Did you ever talk to him and say, hey, how do you feel about his $25? In other words,
No, I never asked them.
right, because I might say, all right, if it works for them and it works for him, I got to check on this and make sure he doesn't do anything wrong, but I might wait to sue him until he did something wrong. You were unhappy that he didn't pay the whole thing and decided, you know what, I can't risk that he's going to mess up along the path. But wouldn't you just speak to your vet and see if your vet was okay with it?
I think they would have been okay with it because I've gone to them before with my dog. She'd had surgery before, and they
So
made small
I guess my
payments.
question is, so why didn't you just leave that alone?
I just didn't want to take a risk.
Okay.
Just like you said, along the line, and then
Show me about your front door damage. Show me pictures and show me an estimate. And you have a $200 claim for pain and suffering for the dog?
yes, right now she's dealing with trauma.
That is evidenced how?
She gets up at 3 a.m, crying, whimpering. I'm thinking she needs to go to the bathroom, which is pretty unusual at 3 o'clock because normally before I go to bed, I take her
Unusual
out.
for your dog.
But it's always exact at around 3 a.m. She gets up 3 times, 2 times during the week, whimpering and crying.
Oh my
and she
gosh,
has like
that
a
must
blank
be hell.
stare in her eyes.
And I assume your boys all take turns waking up with her to take her out.
No, they don't hear it.
Nah,
They don't hear a thing.
nah, they're sound sleepers.
They're
you
sound
know?
sleepers.
It must have been very tough for you and your kids to witness that.
It was, I think, more tough for them. Yeah.
And you can't just fix the screen?
No, because of the damage, the way it's cracked.
But that's what's cracked is the frame of the screen. So can't you just pop in a new screen?
Well, I went to Lowe's to find out if I can get just a screen, but because the door, I guess it was discontinued, they gave me the whole estimate of just replacing the whole
Well, but don't
door.
go to Lowe's. Go to a place that does screens, and right. How much was the estimate they gave you for a brand new door? Was $479. All right. You don't get pain and suffering in a case like this. You can't quantify the pain and suffering of a dog. The vet bill that remains is $586.96.
Yep.
And according to you, you're not going to pay another penny. Why? Because she was rushing you?
I never actually had said that.
So tell me what your position is, that if it's good enough for the vet, it should have been good enough for her.
Yes, I worked it out completely with Middleborough Animal Hospital. They've mailed me all the receipts for my payments. I have been contacting them weekly, and they were completely fine with the payments, and there was no issues whatsoever.
Here's the thing. I totally understand what you're saying. It's not like
I also offered to put something in writing stating that is 100% my responsibility for her peace of mind.
Right.
Before we went to court.
Yeah, that would have done it for me.
So I tried to handle
that would have totally done it for me. I would not want to have to go through the effort of suing you if the doctor's okay and you put it in writing. I would feel secure and just be patient. However, the way I would behave does not affect what she has a legal right to do. She has a legal right not to have this debt outstanding in her name.
Correct.
She has a legal right to get a judgment against you. She has that legal right.
And I was completely understanding
So here's what we're going to do. Show me proof of all the $25 that you've paid.
There's this, and then I have the canceled $300 check, but you don't need that.
No, I know about that one. And that $425, yes, that's what you took into account that he had paid. Do you have pictures of your dog?
Of Coco, yes, I do.
Do you have pictures of the injuries?
I don't have pictures of the injuries because, again, my neighbor brought my dog
Can
to
I
the
do you have
vet.
pictures of your dog? Let me see.
I was just thinking about her and her safety that I didn't think of
And do
taking
you have pictures of Bonnie and Clyde? Is that what you call his
I
dogs?
called
That's
her
not
dog
actually
Bonnie and
their
Clyde.
names,
I
right?
did because they travel in pairs. I mean, I have reports on them getting away from the home numerous times.
How many times have your two pit bulls escaped?
They've escaped 3 times.
That's not okay.
No, believe me, I know. That's what I put the 15-foot
Have they
kennel up.
escaped any time since this?
No, they would do. I only bring them outside to go to the bathroom on leashes. They are not put in the kennel. They are not let out in the backyard. They are only under my supervision. And they've never attacked anything or anyone previous to this occasion. On any of the times that they've escaped, never has there been any type of altercation.
They did break into a neighbor's home on 2 occasions inside
They
their
broke
home.
into the home?
They
Yes.
did.
I
There
have
was
it
a
here.
dog.
Why is this funny? This isn't funny. What is
Through
that?
the screen door.
Okay, I don't know what you're looking for, but
I
I'm
was
ready
looking
to
for the
rule.
pictures of the dogs,
Okay,
but I
I'm ready to
can't
rule.
I called them Bonnie
find
and
them.
I'm done. We're done. We're done. All right. I find in favor of the plaintiff in the remaining amount of the vet bill. She doesn't, even though I kind of don't get why she's in such a hurry, she does have a right to have a judgment against you. And
I understand.
And it's not my job to tell her to be patient. $586.96. As for the front door damage, I'm going to estimate that a new screen, having a screen person come in and create a new screen for you there will be about $200. You're not entitled to an entirely new front door because the screen is damaged. And there is no pain and suffering. So I find in your favor in the amount of $786.96. That is my judgment. I hope you get it.
100% I do.
Yeah, 100%, because it shouldn't take 3 times of your 2 pit bulls getting out for you to get that there might be a problem. And the problem has mercifully not involved the injury to humans yet. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Well, the defendant loses his case. You talk a very responsible game in the courtroom, but what's it going to take for you to realize how dangerous the situation is?
They are not being let outside on their own. I can tell you that. So,
well, you never know when an accident will happen. Somebody else.
I'm going to have a professional fence guy come in and build a stronger kennel, I think.
Mm-hmm. Is it worth it to keep dogs that are that dangerous around?
I don't believe that they're dangerous. I just think it was a crazy set of circumstances. There was a bowl of food on the porch, and I think that her dog was in its rights, obviously, to protect the dog and its food.
Throw a little kid into the scenario. What do you
I have 3 young children, and the dogs are totally gentle.
Those are yours.
Numerous children have been around the dogs.
All right, right around the corner this way. Okay, so come on out here. Tell me what's your reaction to this outcome here?
I'm glad it all worked out. I'm just glad the dogs are safe. They're alive. He was very generous, apologetic, and we took care of it here, and I'm glad. And
What about if he had been out there? The little guy. What about,
Well-
I mean, the big guy here, the big guy.
well, he was indoors. I made sure he stayed inside, but he and I were
But what
outdoors
if?
fighting.
What
Yeah,
if?
you're right.
Does
you're
that
right.
worry you?
It does. It worries me till this day to even come outside. I'm constantly looking up and down the street to see if I see Bonnie and Clyde walking down the street again. So.
Okay. What do you think? Right. Harvey?
So the judge said that you can't get pain and suffering for a dog. The reason is dogs are considered property under the law. And it sounds ridiculous, and it really is, but they are property, and you don't get pain and suffering for property. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.